my path. Well, here I'm going to show for the generate yearly report exercise. So I will be starting with my dispatcher robot. So let me just show you my what do you call this, my rep framework. So let's start with the main, and I added a new folder, system1. And before everything started, of course, you need to make sure that on your data folder, your config Excel sheet file is populated with the information you will be using in or for the robot process. So let's just wait for this file to open. Okay, so here we go. So here you need to make sure that you will add a QName name on the setting worksheet. So we need to make sure that we have this QName existing in our orchestrator. So let's go on the orchestrator, but let me copy this QName first. So I added a new name here instead of using the orchestrator QName. I just want it. So let's go here, and then here on the queues we need to click this button and then paste our, what is that? Let me just type it instead. In-house, what is that? Process 4 and 2. So just click this create. So once you create that, I'm not sure why orchestrate one is like this. Okay, so we have no item yet in progress, remaining. So going back to the config file, we also have here the system1 credential. So I name mine Acme credential. So if you will go on the asset part of the orchestrator, I have that name, and inside that, of course, my login, and then the system1 URL, of course, for the Acme page or site. And for constant, I think for the dispatcher of this exercise, there's nothing we need to edit here. So let me just close that now. And then here in the dispatcher framework, on the main, of course, should have the config file being read by the robot, and then the login is also included in that part. And then in get transaction data, what do we have here? Let me just check. There's nothing I added on the framework folder. On the get transaction data, okay, so here we have a dynamic selector variable. This is not part of the instruction, but yeah, I think this is one of the thing I learned. Maybe there's other way to do it, but using this way, I was able to control an element with dynamic attributes like the AA name for the inner text. So because for this, every time the robot is capturing new data, this selector should be changing or updating as well based on the current transaction number. And then once I assign that selector to a variable, I will assign that variable on the, is this where I assign that? No. Okay, so where did we assign that? I think here. Yep, here on the element exists part. So this is where the bot is checking if the next page is existing. So every time there's a new transaction, the next page should be updating as well, and that page should be checked by the robot. So I think that's all for the get transaction data. And then on the process transaction, I guess open that one. We also have a dynamic selector. I think it's also checking the next page or what should be the next transaction number, and we also assign that to a dynamic selector variable for which I will use on the click activity. So as you can see here on the selector, instead of using what you usually see, I use the variable instead, which represents the dynamic selector I created before I trigger this activity. Then we also have another dynamic selector here for the, I think it's a new it's another selector, but here what we are trying to control is an element with a span tag name, because we will be using that on the on element appear activity, which needs to have a dynamic selector. And then here we will, so every time there's a new page open, it will extract a structured table and then look for all the items under the WI for type, and then the status should be open, and then all those items per page should be added into the queue item, which is the one we created on the orchestrator. So here in the queue, so as you can see, there's nothing on this queue yet. So I think that's all that we have in the generate yearly report dispatcher. Let me just make sure that everything is good in here, because I think I need to clear my data first. So I will reset test data, because I think most of the item there was already processed and tagged as completed, so the bot may not catch those items. Okay, let me close that page instead. Okay, so going back to the main, now we can run the bot. I think for this activity, one of the important thing I learned is how to use a dynamic selector. So I think by this time it's connecting the orchestrator to capture the credential that I saved on the asset. Then after it captures the username and password, it will be used by the bot in logging into the Acme system. I'm using the simulate type on the login part of this. So in this part, it was looking for those items under the WI port type, and with the open status, extract those information or data or items, and then go to the next page. But before going to the next page, it needs to make sure that the next page is existing, because we don't want this bot to click an item number or a page that is not existing on the web page, because we will be expecting or receiving an error. So I don't think what page it is right now. Okay. I might fast forward this robot or this video. So I think it's done working with all the activities we have in this framework. So as you can see here on the output panel, it was able to finish all the activities that we have without receiving any kind of error. So to make sure or to check if it works, we need to go to the, of course, on the orchestrator and refresh this, and as you can see here we have now 10 remaining items, which I will process later on the generate clearly report dispatcher. So that's all for this one. Thank you.